coming with the 2.3.0 PTR realm. My name is Marcus Kretz, and I'm a community manager here at Blizzard Entertainment. And today I'm joined by some new and familiar faces to the stream, which we're really excited to get into. Liam, welcome to the stream. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do on Diablo?
Hello, I am Liam. I'm an associate game designer here on Diablo. I'm always caffeinated, and I'm excited to be here.
Hey, I'm Aislinn. I'm a systems designer on the final design team, and I'm also happy to be here, and probably not as caffeinated as Liam, but sometimes I wish I was.
Hey everyone, I'm Charles Dunn. I'm a game designer, work on class design on the final design team, and I had some coffee this morning, so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Nice. Good way to be. And coming in all the way from downtown Albany, New York, Mr. Dan Tangway, how much caffeine have you had today?
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Tangway. I've had 0 caffeine today. I'm not allowed to have that stuff anymore. So. But yeah, I am the design director for live services, and yeah, I'm excited to share what we've got cooking.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Great to have you here, Dan. And yeah, we're really excited to dive into everything coming with the 2.3.0 PTR realm. It's going to be live from May 27th till June 3rd. We're going to be getting into everything coming with that today. However, it's been about a month since Season 8 launched, Belal's return. We've all gotten in and gotten some fantastic boss powers. So, I know we wanted to take a moment to sort of address and see where things are currently sitting in the game. So, like, Aislinn, how do you feel things have been since the start of Season 8?
Yeah, we just love to talk a little bit about how has Season 8 gone? Like, what kind of changes did we make from the Season 8 PTR? How did they go in live in Season 8? So the first thing I want to talk about with that on this topic is level pacing and activity variety. So as you guys may be aware, we slowed down leveling just a little bit in Season 8. And I'm really glad we actually ended up bringing that to PTR because it got us so much fantastic feedback from you guys, and we decided to pull back on it a bit. And now we're actually pretty happy with where the pacing of leveling is in Diablo 4 right now. With that said, it did end up highlighting a few other things with the slightly slower leveling, which was that there may not be enough activity variety while you're leveling up. And I think we saw this with Apparition Incursions in Season 8 specifically. There was this pressure, a lot of people felt pressure to, if you want to make progress in the season, you want to actually get rewarded on the seasonal track, you have to go to the Apparition Incursion event. And so a big part of what we did is we took a step back and we looked at leveling activity variety, and we also want to take a look at end game activity variety, like with layer bosses, because we also know that there's been a little bit of fatigue with like going in and fighting layer bosses over and over and over. And so with all these things said, we've had a slight philosophical, I don't want to say shift, I would say nudge, a philosophical nudge to try and push people to different content types. When you actually do go and fight a layer boss, we want it to be a big moment, a big reward moment that one could say would punch you in the face and knock your teeth out even. And the same is true for tributes in the Undercity or the Infernal Hordes. When you go and do these things, we want them to be really snappy, really punchy, give you a lot of stuff, and then you can move on to something else. And so there's always a reason to go do something else in Diablo 4. Because we think that kind of activity variety is fun, and it makes each gameplay session more varied, which just kind of helps the game last longer. And you just have more fun while you're doing it. And then beyond that kind of stuff, there's also a lot of permanent improvements that we're going to be talking about on this stream. It's going to be interspersed throughout some of the seasonal content that we're actually going to be talking about, because with Sins of the Haradrim comes a lot of cool permanent additions as well, which is going to be awesome. Oh, my earpiece is exploding.
It begins.
Yes.
It might be a common trend on this live stream.
Let me check mine really quick. We're good.
But yeah, and finally, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for playing Diablo 4. I know I have personally had a blast playing Season 8. I know a lot of people on the team have had a blast playing Season 8. We're constantly just playing the game, finding what works, what doesn't, listening to what you guys are saying about it, and we're all here to make Diablo as just fucking awesome as it can possibly be. And so thank you for joining us on this journey. And with that, I wanted to pass it off to you to talk about class design.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to talk a little bit about where we see the class balance and relative balance of the different builds and classes in the current season, in Season 8 here. I think broadly speaking, class balance, at least in terms of like the spread and diversity of the meta, is in pretty good spot. Certainly compared to some of the previous seasons of Diablo 4, where we had one or two outlier builds that were just so far above what anything else or any other class could do. We don't really see that this season. We do have, some Lightning Spear Sork is maybe a little bit higher than we would like, and there are some other builds at the top, and maybe Spiritborn in particular is lagging a bit behind, but broadly speaking, we're really happy with the overall diversity of builds that players are using to experience all of the content in the game. One of our main pillars for class balance is the concept of that all builds are able to complete all content, which is really that you can take any kind of build that you can think of that's kind of coherently put together, right? You find a skill that you like, you start building into it, and you can take that build and get into Torment 4. You can complete the season journey, you can fight those Torment 4 bosses, and have reasonable success doing it. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the absolute fastest speed farmer in the pit with every single build, but you're able to complete all the content. That's really the bar we're trying to shoot for with a lot of our class balance, and we want to make sure that there's a wide diversity of classes and builds that can achieve that. And I think for this season in particular, we've gotten in a pretty good spot. There are a few outliers that we're still going to look to kind of close the gap on. And also, I just wanted to say that this is an ongoing process, and one of the things that the PTR is so valuable for us testing is getting feedback on the new content we're putting in, the new builds we're trying to enable, and make sure they are hitting that mark.
Yeah, it's a great point. Like, that's the nature of live service games, right? Like, it's always iterative. We're always trying to balance things and get them to a spot where they function really well and builds feel really good, and it feels like you're not shoehorned into one. So yeah, the state of the game right now in terms of Season 8, having all those builds be available to get you through your entire season's journey is really, really nice. So that's really great to hear.
Yeah, and of course, we'll be sharing some updates for the class balance later on in the presentation, specifically around the overpower stat, which has definitely been kind of dominating the meta this season and has been for a little bit. So we're definitely aware of that and going to look to make adjustments with the interest of promoting non-overpower builds to also compete with them. And of course, also we also recognize that here in Season 8, a lot of the absolute top builds, those ones at the very top of the meta, are kind of the same ones that they were in Season 7, in the previous season. And we know there's some fatigue around that where, hey, Deathtrap Rogue, it's the best rogue build again. Hey, Earthquake Barbarian, and so on. Bloodwave Necro are some examples of hey, it's the same class the second season. And we definitely realize that maybe we didn't quite shake up the meta as much as we really were aiming for on Season 8. But we hope some of the big changes I'll talk about later really achieve that for Season 9 going forward.
Yeah, and this is kind of like a little bite-sized sneak peek of some of the things we'll be talking about later on the stream. But again, that's the beauty of having the PTR, right? Is it's, I think Dan said it before, like, this is our time to adjust all the knobs in the dial so that, you can test the content, give us your feedback, and then we can, make some changes before that all goes live to make sure it feels great in game. So yeah. So yeah, with that in mind, with the 2.3.0 PTR, for those of you that are keen and know the roadmap inside and out, you'll know that this next season's is going to deal with all things dungeons. So we have a lot of new and exciting systems and activities that are coming in Season 9 that you'll see in the 2.3.0 PTR. So Dan, what are some of the things that players can expect to get into and try out with this PTR?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to run through some of the features that you're going to see in the Season 9 PTR. First off, I'm going to talk a little bit high level, build on some of the things that they were saying before. I think, when we've been looking at our seasons after X1, we've really been thinking about, what are those areas that we need to really kind of plus up, what's become stale. And one of those areas that, really felt as if it needed some love was the dungeons, specifically our Nightmare dungeons. And so we slotted that in Season 9. And that's really been the dominant theme of a lot of the features that we're going to release. Obviously, if you're familiar with the roadmap, you'll understand that this is where we're headed. But it's important that we're still trying to, even within that, promote that activity variety and create a lot of permanent additions to the game. I know that's something coming out of Season 7, especially. A lot of folks had a lot of feedback on. And so we've taken some extra effort to make sure that we can, bring a lot of these changes season on season into the permanent game moving forward. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of the features. Now, as with any PTR, I'm just going to say up front, we're not going to include any story. We're not going to include the quest line, rep track, things like that. We're really focusing on things that are more repeatable gameplay that we need a lot of feedback on. First up, Heraldric spells. So you see an image here of the UI for the Heraldric spells. It's really cool. It's kind of a create a power system this season. I'm not going to speak too much about that. I'm actually going to let Liam speak about that after I go through the rest of these features. Next up, we have Nightmare Affix updates, and I'll get to those in a little bit. We have Heraldric Strong Rooms. Heraldric Strong Rooms are a new type of micro dungeon within any dungeon. Next up, we have Escalating Nightmares. Escalating Nightmares is a new type of dungeon progression system. And finally, we have Astaroth. So let's dig into Nightmare Affix updates just a little bit more. I actually think Aislin's going to talk about it a bit after, so I'm just going to hit this at a high level. I mean, the defining feature of Nightmare Dungeons are the Nightmare Affixes, right? And so, we've spent a lot of time over, 8 seasons basically saying, oh, well, people don't like this one. Let's tweak this one. Maybe we can add a few here and there. But, we really haven't put, a strong lens on the Nightmare Dungeon affixes as we have in Season 9, especially when we're looking at trying to promote new types of rewards, or at least variations on the type of rewards that dungeons can have. So you see here, we've got Heraldric Reserve and Equipment Delve, and both of these are new types of rewards that you can find within the dungeons. Equipment Delve specifically is you are seeking around the dungeon to find these gizmos that allow you to upgrade the rewards that you get at the end. Let's move on. All right, so let's talk about strong rooms a bit. I said it was a micro dungeon, right? This is a micro dungeon, however, that's going to be hidden within a Nightmare Dungeon. So, the Haradrim have always been very secretive, and we thought this would be a great opportunity to explore gameplay kind of along those lines. And so you, upon entering the dungeon, have to find the entrance to this, Haradric Strong Room. Now, once you're in the Strong Room, and you basically are going to be earning Haradric Attunement by slaying enemies. And this attunement is going to improve the chest that you get at the end after defeating the mini-boss. So really, all said and done, what this strong room is about is maximizing that attunement. If it feels a little bit like the Gauntlet, it does have some inspiration from that. We don't have the Gauntlet in the game anymore, but we wanted to, bring that element of really trying to maximize your score within a certain period of time and giving you a lot of really interesting ways to do that. And so what you see here in the image is one of those tools. These are tests that you can choose to take at the beginning of the strong room, and that will modify how your strong room plays out. There's a couple of other images here we can go through as well. Here is the Heraldric portal that you'll enter in order to get to the strong room. Here is the gate that leads to the strong room. So you have an ante-room right before the strong room where you have to perform a little test to make sure you understand what's about to happen next. I think there's one more. Yep, here's some combat around one of the Heraldric pillars. I'm not going to tell you exactly what the Heraldric pillar does, but Heraldric pillar is one of those ways to boost your score. So with the Heraldric strong rooms, we're really interested in just getting a good amount of feedback about, is it fun enough? Does it differentiate itself enough from some of the other modes that we've created? And so, yeah, let us know. Next up, we've got Escalating Nightmares. Now this one, I just got done playtesting this morning, and it's really coming together at this point. We're really happy with it. So this is a progression that allows you to fight through a series of nightmare dungeons. 3 specifically, and each time you enter a new nightmare dungeon, new affixes get added to the list of dungeons, increasing both the difficulty and, of course, the fun part, the reward efficiency. And so it's going to culminate with a boss fight. The one you're going to play in the PTR is going to culminate with that Astaroth boss fight. And in order to get into, an escalating nightmare, you're going to need to get an escalating nightmare sigil. Now this is currently going to drop in Torment 1 from Strong Rooms. All right, I think there is an image of a totem coming up. So let's take a look at that real quick. Yep. So at the end of a dungeon, you're going to be looking for this particular totem, and that's going to allow you to open a portal immediately to the next dungeon, which is honestly going to create a nice flow state running from dungeon to dungeon to dungeon. So you don't have to back out if you don't want to. You don't have to go into your inventory and hit it again. You just hit the portal and go. So that's pretty cool. With the escalating nightmares, I think the thing that we probably want the most feedback on is actually how you go about acquiring it. Right now, you can only get them in Torment 1, and going into the PTR, we're like, well, that feels pretty good. But we're also like, well, do people want to try and experience this earlier? So this is something we'd love to hear from y'all on. Finally, we've got Astaroth Reignited. So Astaroth, of course, is a very recognizable demon from Diablo 4 base game, and we were really trying to think of somebody we could put a face, to for the upcoming season. And somebody said, well, what about Astaroth? And we thought about it, and we're like, well, yeah, that's kind of unfinished business. Really, this is kind of a rematch when you come down to it, because you defeated him the first time, right? You knocked him off the amalgam, and then you saw him in hell, but we really haven't seen him since. He's just sitting there relaxing at this point. So we really wanted to have this rematch, but if it's a rematch, we don't want to give you the same fight, right? So we've updated the combat mechanics, and there's some things that will feel familiar, but there's some new twists in this fight as well. The final thing I want to say about Astaroth right now is he is not immediately going to the boss ladder. We're really trying to find ways to integrate some of our bosses in new fashions within the overall end game. It's pretty important for us to, kind of branch out. We did a great job iterating on and polishing up the boss ladder last season. So we want to try some new things here, and let us know how we did there. But I think there's a tease of Astaroth coming up, so let's check it out. So here we are entering his lair. In this part of the fight, first phase of the fight, it's going to feel a little bit familiar. He's going to be riding the amalgam, but pretty soon it varies up quite a bit. And so we're going to leave it at that, I think. Honestly, yeah, I don't want to spoil it for folks. Just go check it out when the PTR hits. So I think at this point, we are going to chat with Liam next. So I'm going to kick it back to Irvine.
Hello. Oh my gosh, I am so nervous right now. that caffeine is combining with that nervous energy, and it is creating something, I don't know. We're just going to go for the ride.
Ride that wave, Liam. Ride that wave.
Ride that wave. Let's get into this section. So we just talked about a whole lot of really cool permanent content that's going to be coming to Diablo. Everything Dan just mentioned is so cool. I'm so excited for it. Now we're going to start talking about some seasonal content. So we can't wait for you guys to get in and play around with this stuff. Heraldric spells, all new this season, and the team has put so much love, so much energy into designing all of this. We're so excited. I can't wait to tell you about it, which I'm going to do right now in this overview section, starting with these bullet points. So several spell components. That doesn't do it justice. We have 30 different components you're going to be able to combine together. That's a lot of choice. And you're going to basically be building your own spell. What does that mean? We're going to get into it. And the last bullet point, unique utility. Again, what does that mean? It means a lot. There's a
This is a pretty intricate system,
yeah. These spells are not just like, oh, what one does the most damage, right?
Yes.
It's a lot about like what kind of functionality do I want with these skills, and you can really customize it exactly how you want.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. Previous seasons, like in season 8, you get the power from the boss, and that is the one thing that you have, and that's the visual component. But like you said, you build these heraldric spells. Like you get to pick the different things you want to put together, which is really cool.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so cool. With that said, let's just hop into it. Let's start digging into what these are. All right, so right here, what we are looking at is a catalyst. And a catalyst, for those that don't know, which probably most of you don't know, is the foundation of your spell. This is what gives it its form and its function. And as you can see, there is already so much depth here. It has a lucky hit chance. It has its own cooldown. It has a rank 10 bonus. And it does a really cool effect that isn't just damage. Each one of these, they do something unique that you're going to love to play around with. And there are multiple of these.
So how do we trigger the catalysts in the first place? How do we get those going?
That is a good question. There's even a lot of depth when it comes to that system. And I think the next slide is actually going to be the best thing to convey that. All right, so what we are looking at right here is the seasonal interface for Heraldric Spellcraft. And if you look, you will see that there is actually a bar right there on the UI that kind of mimics your action bar interface. And if you notice, when the catalyst got placed into the slot, the action bar skill now has a purple blinking border around it. What does that mean? It means that your catalyst is now bound to that action bar skill.
And that's where the cooldown comes in, right?
Yep. That's where the cooldown comes in. The cooldown is the limiter, so you're not just going to always be able to press that button and make your catalyst fire off.
Right.
It's beholden to its cooldown. But thankfully, ranking up does lower the cooldown, so you're going to get more and more frequent use out of these catalysts as you rank them up and make them more powerful.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's what's going on in this interface. Let's see what happens when this rogue presses the button with Celestial Surge equipped. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. You see, that does most of the talking for itself. So basically what just happened is that the rogue threw the smoke bomb. And the smoke bomb was the guiding factor for the catalyst. And the catalyst created that arcanic heraldric rune on the ground right where the smoke bomb landed. It did its pull-in effect, and then that barrage of stars just started doing their work randomly all over that area. What do you guys think? Is that pretty cool?
That's pretty neat. And that's only like one of the possible combinations, right? Because like you have one catalyst there and you assign it to a specific skill, but you could pick any of the catalysts and you could assign it to any of the skills that your class has available to it. And the way that the catalyst interacts changes based on the kind of skill you're using, right?
Exactly. So think of it like an extension of your skills. You know, it's going to feel very natural and organic as you're, what's the term? Invoking these into combat. So, yeah, go ahead.
I really like how you get to choose like when you deploy this in combat, right? If you want it on smoke bomb, it's like, okay, I want to be CCing an enemies, or like I know there's a clump of enemies there, so I can deploy this at a key time. Or if I like don't want to think about it too much, like I just want it to happen as much as possible, right? I'll just put it on my core skill that I'm pressing all the time, and it'll happen like as often as it can. And like you get that choice in how you want to deploy these.
Exactly, and like I said, gonna feel natural. If you're a Sork and you put it on Flame Shield, it's gonna summon on your character. If you're using a ranged ability, it's gonna go where the ranged ability lands. If you're using a melee skill, it's gonna be in melee range on the character you hit. It's just gonna feel like what you would expect it to be, you know?
Yeah, so the catalyst just really flows around it, however you want to integrate it into your playstyle, effectively.
Exactly. We don't want to spoil all of the catalysts. We want you to experience them on the PTR, but we do have one more for you to look at right now that's really cool, so let's go to that tooltip. So this is the Cosmic Anomaly. This is a summons type. We know players love summons. It's going to scale off summon damage bonuses naturally because it has the tag. It has a passive and an active component. For those of you familiar with Druid Companions, this is going to feel really natural to you. It's that same kind of setup. And I'm not even going to mention the rank 10, but it's pretty insane. Like, just if you read it, that's a powerful effect. So when you reach that threshold, you are unlocking a whole new realm of power for your catalyst. And yeah, let's go see what this looks like. What does it look like in game?
Oh, shiny.
So shiny. Look at that.
Very lightning-y.
Very lightning-y. Yeah, that's a... There it goes.
That's a real word, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say it is.
Oh, I love this clip.
Oh, that's so satisfying. Okay, that's also a little heartless. I can't believe the Necromancer would do that. Those are your friends, and you just send them to go explode? Unbelievable. But good news, they come back. Your friends come back. So you can go send them over to explode. They do their thing, and then they always return to you.
Yeah, so the thing I really love about this clip in particular is that the Necromancer's chosen this catalyst and assigned it to Bone Prison, which is very clever because they also have a pull-in with Corpse Tendrils. And so what they do is they pull everything in with Corpse Tendrils, and then cast Bone Prison, which invokes the cosmic anomalies and kills all of them while they're stuck all together inside the Bone Prison.
Exactly. Well said. There's so many satisfying combinations for you to discover. We're going to leave it there, but let me tell you, the amount of depth in this system is so fun. We've had so much fun playtesting this internally. So,
Oh, yeah. I've been playing it quite a bit in the last couple of minutes or however long, and apparently I lose track of time while I'm doing it. No, it's great. I love it. This is just such an awesome addition to the game.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Like, honestly, gotta say, like, so I did write the 230 PTR blog. I hope y'all like it. But this is definitely a system, like, going in and testing it out before to then help write the blog. I was like, the blog is not going to cut it in terms of listing out all the different tools, like the way all the different aspects of the Heroic Spellcraft interface together. It's really something that you need to go in and play test yourself because of all the different combinations, all the way the different powers interface with each other. It's very hard to get on paper, so it's really something you got to go in and test for yourselves. It's a ton
Which you
of fun.
can, right?
Yeah, and you get that opportunity. How about that?
Exactly. Going forward, we have something cool to show you. We've talked a lot about catalysts. Now let's talk about infusions. This is another thing you can socket into your Heraldric interface. And this is going to change the damage type, the elemental damage that your catalyst deals. And it doesn't just stop there. The damage type has mechanics attached to it that change its function too.
Right.
So what would you expect fire to do? Like, fire is destructive. It's really, it's all-consuming. So naturally, it's going to destroy enemy structures. What does that mean? I'm not going to tell you. But maybe you're going to see it in just a moment, actually. But I'm not going to tell you for this time right now. And fire also creates burning areas on the ground that will damage enemies that you keep in that area. And it doesn't stop there. I'm sorry, there's so much depth on these items, and there are 5 of them, right? So you have so much choice. But also, while it's equipped, your fire damage bonus is equal to that of your highest damage type bonus. What does that mean?
Yeah, so even if you're like playing like a frost sorcerer who just has like a lot of frost or cold damage, right? You can still use this, and it kind of benefits from all of your cold damage because all the elemental damage types kind of get equalized here.
So I could be, for example, a frost sorc, and I just have copious amounts of frost damage bonus, right? It's just it's flowing everywhere. I have too much of it. I swap in the poison infusion, and then suddenly I have an equal amount of poison damage bonus.
Right.
That's really cool because my poison catalyst is going to be hitting like a truck, and players love dealing lots of damage, right?
I love it.
But also, and tell me if this is cool when you guys get to play test with it, the possibilities expand even more because now I'm a sorc that has a lot of poison damage. And
What does
Ariel's
that mean?
visage?
Yeah.
Like, do I want to throw that on my helmet now? I don't know. I've never really had that
That kind of build crafting opportunity.
kind of build crafting opportunity. So there's so much there. Just can't wait to see everyone's reaction when you all play with it.
And so just to make sure I get this right, I have my catalyst. That's what we see visually in these clips here, like those cosmic anomalies. And we just talked about infusions. And infusions change the elemental damage type specifically of my catalyst, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So as you're seeing right here, he's swapping out the lightning gem with a fire gem. And now look at them. They're all fiery. They have smoldering flames. And watch this. When they combust, look at it. There's a burning patch on the ground. And you can get multiple of those. It isn't just always going to be one. This is destruction incarnate, right? This is cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And each infusion has like their own secondary damaging or just not necessarily damaging, but just effect that they apply as well.
Yep.
And in Fire's case, it's the burning.
Yep,
patch.
it is layers on top of layers, right? So again, we're so excited. For people that were closely reading that tooltip on the infusion page, you might have seen a rank 5 bonus. Even more depth. We keep talking about depth. That rank 5 bonus, we're going to get into it right now. Basically, it allows you to deactivate monster affixes depending on the damage type you are using. So what would you expect fire to deactivate? Well, it makes sense that thematically it would deactivate chilling winds. Those are those like icy winds that monsters can summon in. They like slow your projectiles.
Yeah.
So annoying.
No one likes being slow.
I was just playing a
Gotta go fast.
yeah, I was
Gotta go
playing
fast.
a Blood Spear Necromancer
And then
season
just,
8, and the
slows
chilling
down.
winds were so annoying.
Oh yeah.
So let's look at a clip and see chilling winds being deactivated.
So this is a different catalyst than we've seen before, right? This one draws like a damaging beam.
Yeah, so this is Disintegrate. It is another catalyst. We're not going to show you the tooltip about all its possibilities and what it does, but yeah, you'll see that the moment he deactivates the monster, those chilling winds just disappear. And they will stay disappeared as long as they are, consistently deactivated. So as you know, this is going to be very satisfying to use. Like, you're going to be able to swap these in, and if certain monster affixes just ruin your day and you really dislike them, well, they're just gone like that. And we have one more clip to show you. Yep, so, okay, there we go. The Waller wall is just gone. This is also fire because I talked about structures. That's Waller walls. That is lightning totems, those like things that arc lightning damage, the red lightning damage all around the arena. That is tether points, those things that like chain you to the ground. Fire destroys all of those. So we're going to leave it at that. We hope you really have fun playing around with that.
Yeah,
No more
so-
wallers.
Yeah. If you hate Wallers,
Yeah.
your problems have your prayers have been answered.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's super handy because now if you're going into a Nightmare dungeon that has a particular monster affix, you can just slap in whichever infusion you need, and then you won't have to deal with it.
Exactly. So yeah, there's going to be so much choice here to like swap things on the fly and react to things to kind of suit your play style. And that's really cool. That's really exciting. But wait, there is more. We have more in this system for you. Actually, we have 3 more socket spaces of things you have to think about while you are designing your spell. So let's get into that. So we have Arcana. Arcana are going to be dropping in seasonal content randomly in the released version of this season, but on PTR we're just going to be giving it to you, so you'll be able to play around with all of them. But Arcana are like, think of them like the tuning knobs for your powers. These are small, subtle effects that when you add 3 of them, they really kind of tailor the power, the catalyst, to your play style.
Yeah, so we have, okay, so let's recap again really quick.
Yep.
We have the catalyst, which is the visual effect. We have the infusion, which determines the catalyst's elemental type and gives it fancy bells and whistles. And then we have the Arcana, which even modifies it further. And like we saw there, like you could make it bigger, or you could give yourself a buff when you use your catalyst and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So like, let me just walk you through these 3 Arcana right here. So I picked these 3 because they kind of show off different reasons you might use an Arcana. So starting on the left side with Gleaming Conduit, it increases the effect size of your catalyst. What does that mean? Let's go back to the first catalyst we showed off. It was the Celestial Surge where you had the stars raining from the sky. That's a randomized pattern, right? That's a bit of a downside. But with this placed into the socket, suddenly those stars are creating bigger impacts when they land on the ground.
Right.
Meaning by swapping in this Arcana, you are overcoming a bit of that downside and you are making that damage more consistent and just more overall impactful.
Yep, and that's just going to apply differently to each catalyst.
Yeah. For Tranquil Stone, I'm actually just going to throw this over to Charles. Charles, what class might be happy about this Arcana?
I mean, I've heard some classes, Necromancer, talking about how they don't have too many options for Unstoppable. Well, now you have many, many options, 5 different catalyst options, and tons of different ways to invoke it to gain that Unstoppable. So, Necromancers, look out for that Tranquil Stone.
Exactly, yeah. So this kind of goes to that philosophy of these will kind of fill in holes. Oh my gosh, taking my... One sec. Okay. Technical difficulty aside, I can hear again. Tranquil Stone will basically overcome some downsides of your class. It will, fill in the holes and allow you to overcome things you lack, and that's really cool. And then Potent Alloy. Alloy?
Alloy.
Alloy?
Alloy.
Okay, I pronounced it correctly. Potent Alloy. We talked about how infusions interact with monster affixes. You're even going to find some Arcana in the mix that will also additionally interact with even more monster affixes.
Right.
So if that really suits your playstyle, feel free to place those in. But wait, there's a little bit more. We're getting there, but there's a little bit more. There are also legendary arcana. And when we think about legendary arcana, we're not really thinking about pure player power. We're thinking about how hard they are to understand, the depth of them, right? There's just a lot going on. And what do I mean by that? So there are 5 legendary arcana that you can discover out there. And as you see in this slide right here, we have Nightmare Orb. But if you look at it, it changes. What's going on? So let's start on the left side. So on the left side, your Nightmare Orb is speaking to the Cosmic Anomaly catalyst from before.
Oh, yes.
And it adjusts its effect to match it. So when you put this on your pet summons catalyst, suddenly they're going to have this little aura around them where as they run into enemies, they're going to fear and slow them. But if we go to the right side, the Nightmare Orb is talking to Celestial Surge. And this does a completely different effect. It's going to fear unaffected enemies. But once the fear ends, you have a chance to create even more stars.
So these legendary arcanas care about each individual catalyst then?
Yep, exactly. So the same legendary arcana has 5 different variations to wrap your head around, and there are 5 of these. So 5 times 5, I'm going to say the keyword one more time, I'm sorry. That's a lot of depth.
So I feel like you've just presented to me and us a unfathomable amount of combinatorics, Liam.
Yes. Yes, I did. Okay. My earpiece has fallen out now like 5 times.
So the funny thing is, if
that's
you
a
guys
record.
remember from last stream, Adam's earpiece was falling out all the time.
Yeah.
We actually changed that, and I got the souped-up earpiece. So this
So
baby,
unfair.
that's locked in,
So
and we're going to be getting those
unfair,
for the rest of the stream. So as Liam struggles, I benefit.
I'm good for like a minute, and then it's probably going to fall out again. Actually, I already feel it falling out. Don't worry about it. Instead, we
good.
have some really cool video content to show you while the rest of us just talk broadly about this system and why we're so excited. So everybody, the floor is open. What is your favorite combination? What are you the most excited about when it comes to these spells?
Yeah, I really think that I love finding ways to get my ultimate cooldown really low so that I can trigger it on my ultimate constantly. It kind of mixes really, really well. I'm just playing like an ultimate build in general. It's really fun.
Yeah, I've got a soft spot for summons. I really love the Cosmic Anomaly. I love just having a bunch of guys out there, even if they're floaty, glowy orbs of elemental destruction, and love commanding them and having them go and explode. That's just really fun for me.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of playing Barb lately, but I find when I get into the higher torment tiers, you're just like so up and close and taking damage that the survivability does get a bit more difficult. So like having the ability to use some more like ranged abilities to then throw my spellcraft out and then kind of do some CC while I am like an up close and personal player, and like I'll probably play a rogue next season too. So in a similar vein, like being able to kind of like still have those damaging abilities that are, will do damage over a distance while being able to like, go heal in the corner. It's nice to just like influence those play styles.
Yeah, definitely. So again, so much content here. We are unbelievably excited for you guys to get into the PTR and try these out.
Yeah.
Again, we've had so much fun playtesting them, and we can't wait to see what everyone thinks about it.
I feel like I got into a state where like I was playtesting Heraldric Spellcraft, and I was like, the time just started slipping away. Because like I just started being like, well, what if I like did this catalyst with this infusion and then applied it to this skill? Oh, and now this Arcana matters. And that just happened again and again and again.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really intricate system.
I just want to throw it to Aislinn, and I get to say one more thing.
Do it.
There's more.
There's more. There's already enough, Liam.
Yeah.
You think we need more?
Yeah, you want to
Oh
throw
my
a
God.
whole another layer on top of this, Liam,
Yeah.
you crazy man?
Well, yes, you are correct. There is more. There are Heraldric Jewels. Heraldric Jewels are what you might be reminded by, excuse me, I can speak English. Occult Gems from Season 7. They are very similar to Occult Gems from Season 7. We have a lot of similar effects on Heraldric Jewels that you might have seen from Season 7 Occult Gems, but we've added lots of new shiny layers of paint and glorious effects to these Heraldric Jewels, and we've also really brought them in and both aesthetically and mechanically unified them with Heraldric Spellcraft. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be finding these Heraldric Jewels through tomes starting in Torment 1. So once you actually get to the end game, you'll start finding the ability to craft these heraldic jewels. You can then, once you've found the tome, take it to a crafting station and actually craft it with the seasonal currency heraldic files and gem fragments. And don't worry, it's not as many gem fragments as occult gems if you have PTSD from that like I do.
It was a little expensive back then.
It was a lot. And yeah, you can then just socket them into your jewelry sockets and just pump up your build even further. And what our first example here is Liminal Echo, which you might actually recognize as an occult gem in terms of a cheat death. But we have reflavored it and rethemed it and changed its mechanics to actually invoke propulsion, which is a different one of the catalysts that we didn't actually show here, but you will see that in the PTR. And it makes you invulnerable, and then it has an ICD. But yeah, we have way more heraldic jewels than just that. There are 15 total. They all do lots of crazy different stuff. So we're going to go over some of our favorite here just to give you guys a sneak peek. So the first one is Tyrant Bane. You can look over that text there, and you might think to yourself, is this Bane of the Stricken? And the answer would be, yes it is. If you are a D3 enjoyer, it is Bane of the Stricken for dot builds. I'm very personally excited about that one. The second one we have is the Starflux. This one is fantastic. It's just punch you in the teeth, straight value, double your catalyst damage. That's a lot of damage though, so if you do want to do that, you're probably going to lose control of your heraldic spellcraft to some degree, which causes your catalysts to inherit their infusions randomly, so you don't actually get to determine or decide rather how that's going to happen. And then finally, we have Idol from Below. You may also recognize this effect from Occult Gems, but with a twist. I mean, the twist is, it's probably fine.
Jeweled Guardians, I bet they're pushovers, but don't worry about it.
No.
Don't worry about it.
No. Focus on the first line for that one. That's the important part.
Primary core stat, max life, unhindered. Great stuff.
Absolutely.
Nothing else to worry about.
For sure. All right, and I think we have a video of the Starflux to kind of give you a sense of what that is like. So this is the Cosmic Anomaly Catalyst with the Starflux equipped. And you might notice that they have different infusions applied to them because it's determined randomly each time a new Cosmic Anomaly comes out. And this can be really actually interesting because, Liam, to your point before, different infusions deal with different enemy affixes. So if you have the Starflux equipped and Cosmic Anomalies, you might actually be able to deal with a bunch of different enemy affixes simultaneously, which is pretty cool.
Exactly, and just look at that kaleidoscopic explosion, right?
Yeah.
So satisfying. It's so beautiful.
Absolutely. And we have, like I said, we have 15 heraldic jewels, and all of them do various wacky, amazing, cool stuff. So while you're experimenting with heraldic spellcraft and trying out all of the new things in Season 9, slot some of those in and see what kind of madness you can accomplish.
Yeah, not gonna lie, chat was pretty excited about the heraldic jewels, and like the Starflux, it looks absolutely nutty. I'm really pumped to test it out.
Heck yeah.
A few callouts for everyone watching as well. We will have a Q&A towards the end of the stream, so if you do have any questions for our development team, any questions for Dan, like what's the best way to make poutine gravy from scratch, you know, he's your guy for it. So we will have that towards the end of the stream, so drop your questions in chat. We do have community team members pulling those, and again, like, we want your feedback. That was a ton of information, a ton of systems, and we actually do have specific things that we're looking for in terms of what we're seeking for each bit and component going in the 2.3.0 PTR.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you know, I guess I'll speak specifically to heraldic jewels. Got to make sure I get the terms right. Yeah, so we want to hear what you guys think about all the different heraldic jewels. We want to know, like, do these effects feel correct? This is the perfect time to give feedback on just straight up balancing. Does this give you enough bonus damage? Does this give you too much bonus damage? Does this feel good? Does it not feel good? Are the Jewel Guardians...
I don't worry about them.
Yeah, no, don't give us feedback on that part. It's
Maybe
fine.
you should worry about them, you know? Maybe they need to get a little juiced up.
Yeah.
Surely.
But yeah, let us know about heraldic jewels, and of course, I'm sure you'd love to hear people's thoughts about it.
Definitely. For heraldic spells, please just let us know how it feels both in early and late game. I know it's PTR, a lot of people are going to be mainly jumping into the late game, but early game is also really helpful. We want them to feel really cool and satisfying to use in all realms of content. We also just want to know about the effects themselves. Are they satisfying? Does anything feel off? Do we need to like tighten up cooldowns or things like that? Just get into the weeds with it. We will definitely be reading through as much as we can and making these spells the best they can be for launch.
Yep, now's the time to get that feedback, tune those knobs. It's the best time to do it. And for everyone watching from home, we also will have the